Today's our topic is about the thyroid hormones, which are being secreted by the thyroid gland. Thyroid gland is one of the most important and larger endocrine gland of the body, and it has two primary functions. First is to secrete the thyroid hormone, which regulates the body metabolism, such as carbohydrates or fat metabolism and its effect on our body, which secretes the T3 and T4 produced by the thyroid gland. Second is to secrete the calcitonin, which we'll discuss later in the next lecture. Anatomically, thyroid is a butterfly-shaped gland that straddles the trachea in front of the neck, which is located into the neck. So, a thyroid gland is made up of multiple follicles, and there are two lobes which are connected through thyroid isthmus, which is basically the bridge between two lobes. Alright, talking about the T3 and T4, which are secreted by the thyroid glands. T3 is also known as triiodothyroxine, and T3 is the most active form of the thyroid hormone, which majorly plays and performs its function actively. While T4 is the most abundant form but not active form of thyroid hormone, which is also known as thyroxine, which I'm drawing the formula here. Now coming back onto the thyroid gland. Focusing on follicular cells, the thyroid gland is composed of large number of follicles, and each follicle is surrounded by a single layer cell and filled with a proteinaceous material called colloid, and each follicular cell is also known as thyrocytes, which are being surrounded by the parafollicular cells. Talking about the synthesis of thyroid hormone, which is T3 and T4. They are synthesized in thyrocytes, which are also known as follicular cells, through series of chemical process, which I will explain you here. As I am focusing on the thyrocyte, as you can see here that I am drawing the follicular cell along with the centrally present colloid and the basally present the capillary bed or capillary blood vessels. These thyrocytes contain a certain kind of Golgi apparatus which forms the TGs, which is a thyroglobulin protein, which further transported into the colloid through exocytosis. Here in the colloid, the TGs will bind with the iodine. Each thyroglobulin molecule contains many tyrosine groups, but only a fraction become iodinated. Also, the basolateral side of thyrocyte, facing the blood vessels, contains symporters that transport 2 sodium ions and 1 iodide ion into the cell against the concentration rate. As you can see here, through this symporter, 2 sodium ion and 1 iodine is entered the cell, and the iodine will further enter the colloid through iodine and chloride exporter. Once in a thyroid gland, iodine is rapidly oxidized to iodine by thyroid peroxidase that occurs in the apical membrane of the follicular cell, which is basically the colloidal side. From iodide to iodine, iodine will bind with the TGs to form MIT and DIT, which is known as the monoiodide tyrosinase and diiodide tyrosinase. And these will bind with the TGs, which is present into the colloid, as I have mentioned before. When it will bind with the TGs, it will be transported back into the cell, and from here the TG will be separated, and the T3 and T4 will be released into the bloodstream, and TG will go back to the endoplasmic reticulum. These TGs will be proteolized in the endoplasmic reticulum, and then it will be reused into the thyrocytes for further iodination of the thyroid hormone. Alright, let's go by step. Number 1 is the thyroglobulin formation, and I have told you before that how it is being formed. It is being formed into the thyrocyte, into the Golgi apparatus. Then the second step is the iodine pumping, when 2 sodium and 1 iodine will be pumped into the cell by sodium and iodide supporters. The third step will be iodine pump into the colloid by pendrins, through which the chloride will be exchanged into the cells. The fourth step is the oxidation of iodide. The iodide is being converted into the iodine by the enzyme thyroperoxidase, which is present into the colloid. Fifth step is the organification of the iodine with TGs, which is present in the colloid. Then the sixth step is the coupling of DIT and MIT. Coupling of DIT and MIT will form T3 and T4. And the last step will be release of these hormones into the bloodstream. So it was all about the synthesis of T3 and T4. Now moving on to the T3 and T4. when it is being released into the bloodstream, you should know that T3 is highly active form of T4. It means that both of these are being actively transported into the blood, but the T3 amount is lesser than T4. T4 is abundant while the T3 is less. So T4 produces 5 times greater than T3. So it is a ratio 1:5. When 1 T3 is being released, 5 T4 will be excreted into the bloodstream. When T4 reaches the cell, it is converted from T4 into the T3 by the enzyme called iodinase present into the cell. And T3, which is an active form of thyroid hormone, will act upon the nucleus to perform its function, just like growth or CNS activities or central nervous system growth, metabolic effects, and adulthood, basal metabolic rates, and CVS, which is a cardiovascular system. To regulate all these functions of thyroid hormones, you should know that how this regulation works. So we will discuss about the regulation of thyroid hormone, as we have studied in our previous lecture that through pituitary gland and hypothalamus basically control the other gland of our body. So here I am drawing the hypothalamus and pituitary gland, and from hypothalamus TRH will be released. TRH basically is the thyroid releasing hormone which further act upon the anterior pituitary gland, and anterior pituitary gland will further releases TSH, which is a thyroid stimulating hormone. It gives the positive feedback to the cells present into the thyroid gland. So here I am drawing the thyroid gland. When the TSH acts upon the follicular cells of the thyroid, it causes them to release T3 and T4. These T3 and T4 will be excreted through the thyrocytes or follicular cells of the thyroid gland into the bloodstream. When T3 and T4 will be released into the bloodstream, it will be transported to the target cell to perform all the metabolic function and the function which I have mentioned above. So if there will be any rise in T3 and T4 plasma level, it will give the negative feedback to the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland to stop releasing TSH and TRH. So this is the negative feedback mechanism, in which if there is a rise in T3 level or T4 level, or if there is a decrease in the T3 and T4 level in the blood, it will be detected by the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland through its receptor, and it will causes the TRH and TSH to act accordingly. If there is a rise in T3 and T4 level, TRH and TSH will be decreased or reduced in the production. And if there is a decrease in T3 and T4 level in the blood, it will causes the T3 and TRH and TSH to release from the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland to act upon the thyroid gland to release more T3 and T4. So this is how all these negative feedback mechanism occur. Hope it was very helpful for you, and hope you have understand. Please don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you.